Well, here we are, talking about breakout rookies and sleeper rookies, guys that can win you a league in your Dynasty League. But not just Dynasty, we're talking about redraft as well, because there are far too many times people overlook rookies, especially the impact of these rookies in wide receiver situations. Like, I mean, good God, look at Keon Coleman, our moon man extraordinaire. Let me just see if I can find the button here for this.
The Moon Man.
Keon Coleman, and down there below you see Isaac Gendo asking, come on, let me in the Moon Man list.
Space Monsters.
Gendo says, let me in. Open the door, please. Keon Coleman is a Moon Man. Zamir White is a Moon Man. Javon Baker is a Moon Man. You have two rookie wide receivers on the Moon Man list, and a rookie running back poking up from the bottom saying, let me in. Rookies are vital to redraft. So, yes, we're here to talk Dynasty. Yes, we're here to talk how do you find the gems that win you Dynasty Leagues and build you conglomerates in your Dynasty Fantasy Football League. We're here to discuss Dynasty, but we're also here to attack this from a very, very redraft perspective as well, because we don't do it separately. That's not how Dad did it. That's not how we do it. The Fantasy Football Show begins now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live!
Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
Live whenever news breaks. I see Young asking who the next Laporta is. I see Thomas in there dropping fire emojis. I see a bunch of you filing on in and dropping some good commentary right away. I would say, Laporta, you got potentially this guy right here, Sinnott. Sinnott is maybe the next Laporta. Maybe not quite as good. Maybe he is as good. We don't know. Sinnott is kind of like the way Kincaid and Mayer were above Laporta, and Laporta kind of came out of not nowhere, but like the 2-3 tight end spot and said, no, I'm the number one, son. He said, I'm the number one. Now, I think Kincaid still got something to say about that. But pretty clear and evident that Sam Laporta is now dynasty and redraft tight end number one. So who's to say Sinnott can't be the best, even though we have Brock Bowers? It's certainly possible, because landing spot dictates so much. It's not everything, but a lot of times it's more important than the talent involved. This is why we had Arian Foster and Priest Holmes be just as good as Marshall Faulk and LaDainian Tomlinson from a fantasy perspective, even though they weren't as good from a NFL perspective, because situation is king. So Sinnott can absolutely be a guy that could be that guy. Let's take a look at our number one player. This is Keon Coleman, who comes into a Buffalo Bills situation that, if you ask me, is probably the best situation outside of Kyler Murray for a rookie wide receiver, at least in 2024 redraft. Now, I know what you're saying, Smitty. Wait a minute. Isn't Neighbors' talent and Adunze's talent, and maybe Adunze's eventual situation if Keenan Allen gets hurt, better than Keon Coleman? No, it's not. And this is one of those situations where I was on the fence a little bit. I love Keon Coleman's certain parts of his game, and I was very, very on the fence about him walking into the combine, because situation had to be perfect, and I said that several times with a lot of these guys, including Coleman. If the situation is ideal, you mix Coleman's good qualities, even with the inconsistencies or voids in his game, with elite situation, and those gaps and voids will get filled by situation. So Keon Coleman did land in the best situation out of all wide receivers outside of Marvin Harrison Jr. And that makes him, if you believe his talent and the voids and the holes in his game can get filled, and he can get matured and cultivated and sculpted like Josh Allen's capable of doing, then the sky's the limit. Like, there is no reason why, and I'm not telling you that he's bumping out Neighbors long-term or Adunze long-term. I don't even know how somebody could quantify that. I don't know how somebody in the right mind could sit down and go, let me tell you who Keon Coleman's ripping out of the top 3 dynasty wide receivers, because it isn't a conversation anybody should be having. This is a wait and see game, but it's an exciting wait and see game. And what I'm trying to say here is there's a real possibility that 1 or 2 years from today, we are having a conversation where this guy is not the 3rd or 4th wide receiver from this rookie class. He actually gets into the top 3 and nudges one of the other 2 out. I'm not, again, saying I know which one it will be, and I'm not saying I'm ready to rank him there, and I'm not saying anybody should be valuing him there. I'm almost hesitant to even say it because I don't want people to get itchy trigger fingers or start saying Smitty says that Neighbors is outside the top 3 or Doomsday's outside the top 3. Again, you can't even quantify that right now. You can't even sit down and have a conversation about that because these are 3 elite wide receiver talents we haven't seen in a long time, if ever, come into a rookie pool of wide receiver. You've got a Doomsday, Neighbors, and MHJ, all capable of being number 1 out of a rookie wide receiver class in any given year. All 3 capable of being top 12 fantasy football and NFL wide receivers at the same time. This is an electric class, but we do occasionally see a situation that makes a little bit lesser player as good or better than an elite player in a bad situation. It's nature versus nurture. They talk about this with serial killers and who made the serial killer? Was it the parenting, the nurturing, having no good parents, having parents that abused their kid or whatever and turn them into this monster when they had a really nice heart? Or is the amazing parents raising this absolute menace that in his nature, no matter how good his parents were, they created this monster even though they tried everything they could to not create a monster? Nature versus nurture, the oldest argument of time, and there's no one answer. There's just an overwhelming amount of nature, an overwhelming amount of nurture. And in the case of fantasy football, and you know I like to bring my psychology to the table here, but in the case of fantasy football, nature and nurture is environment, situation. Josh Allen, Bills offense, no targets are being consumed by anybody but Dalton Kincaid, Shakir. There are so many vacant targets in an offense that hasn't changed like Minnesota. Minnesota's changing. You know, you have all these targets that need to be thrown out there, but you have a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy that might not be able to deliver the amount of target share that's needed to replace and replicate what's been going on in Minnesota. In Buffalo, it's very different. You rapture the wide receiver, and in the receiving department crumbles, right? And you're like, what are they going to do? Who are they going to replace Diggs with? What's going to happen? Gabe Davis is gone. Diggs is gone. All these vacated targets. Yeah, we know that the tight end is going to get him. Dalton Kincaid's going to the moon. No doubt about it. He's on a shuttle maybe to go to Saturn right now as we speak. In fact, I'm not going to lie to you. I dispatched a shuttle. He might just be on Saturn right now. Okay? Kincaid's going to Saturn. He might be going to Neptune. He might be going to, I don't know, we might send him to Pluto to see if it's too cold to actually live on Pluto. Maybe Pluto's okay. But what is different about this situation versus the reverse or inverse of the Minnesota situation, Josh Allen's still going to be feeding the rock to everybody, and they're not going to change how they play. They're airing it out. Somebody needs to step in and take these targets, and Keon Coleman is Josh Allen's. According to Josh Allen, you could say he's lying or just stretching the truth to make not only the Buffalo Bills look good with their selection, but to make Keon Coleman feel good. But I'm going to trust Josh Allen. I'm going to trust that he wouldn't throw this out there if it wasn't true to some significant degree. But he sent a text to Keon Coleman and he said, hey, I was hoping it was you. Out of all the rookie wide receivers I wanted to throw to, it was you. It's always been you. So excited to be throwing the rock to you, pal. And that, to me, is all I needed to hear to close the gap between, okay, talent is there for sure. Highest miles per hour on the field during the route running drills at the combine. Highest yards, miles per hour. Highest, fastest yards and miles per hour on the field during the combine throwing drills. That means he's the quickest wide receiver during game speed. Yet he ran a slow 40 But if it weren't for the new additional miles per hour data and metrics at the combine, we wouldn't know that. We wouldn't know that there's similar to Jerry Rice. You wonder what Jerry Rice would have been miles per hour during the combine drills versus 40, etc. Had you looked at that. And so thank God Keon Coleman had that on his side, because we didn't walk out of the combine going, damn, the guy's slow. We walked out of the 40 going, uh-oh. And then we saw him on the field and he beat every wide receiver in miles per hour data. And we went, never mind. 40 means nothing. 40 means nothing is what you have to remind yourself when the guy, the quickest player on the field, does not even come close to winning the 40, because some of that's about start. Some of that's about, do you have any track experience? There's a lot that goes into the 40 time. But game speed's the most important. You put Keon Coleman, fastest on the field miles per hour. Great skill set. There's some concerns I had about his ability to do everything, whereas a McConkey could probably do everything. And of course, Brian Thomas Jr., I love a lot. He's got the speed and can do everything. And then Odunze. I'm not going to lie and beat around the bush here. If Odunze landed in Buffalo, he'd be Jamar Chase. He would be Jamar Chase. We'd be drafting MHJ and Odunze neck and neck, side by side, dare I say on a rotational basis, meaning you have the number 12, 13 pick, you might go Marvin Harrison and Odunze, two rookie wide receivers. Or dare I say in a dynasty league, I might draft Marvin Harrison Jr. 1 in one league and Odunze number 1 in another league if he was in Buffalo. I just want to put that out there because I don't want people to say, hey, Smitty, what is all this stuff you said about Odunze in Buffalo? I can't control that he didn't go there. He went to a very crowded situation with a quarterback I don't necessarily believe in Caleb Williams, playing for a team that I don't believe in that will support him and make him great. Appreciate everybody being here. OEG in the building, Carrie, Donnie, Mason, Easy, Aldi, Mild High in the building. Appreciate all my mods that are here. Chris, what's up? You put a guy that has some holes potentially or some deficiencies in a Josh Allen offense, and I think he repairs that, builds on that hole in his game, that void in his game could be filled and become a strength. Josh Allen is a capable quarterback of building on things that aren't there. And do I think that Keon Coleman, out of all the wide receivers, in hindsight, in retrospect, he was the perfect fit outside of the top 3. He really was. I liked McConkey a lot, but this was the one guy that did all the things you wanted him to do, that Josh Allen needs him to do, and the things he can't, Josh Allen will help him get there, whereas any other quarterback might not do that. So let me make that abundantly clear. Had Coleman landed in New York, we might not ever see him evolve properly, and that's the nature of fantasy football. Had Neighbors landed in Buffalo, same thing we said about Odunze, you probably said about Neighbors. But on occasion, a player that's slightly lesser in talent initially becomes as good in time because situation's king. So I tell you here, right now, Keon Coleman is my number 4 rookie wide receiver. And at this stage in the game, even though I love BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr., I love BTJ, even though I do love McConkey, I do love several players, and I think there's a lot of upside in this rookie wide receiver class. And there's even upside long-term with Parasol and different guys. And we love Javon Baker and deep sleepers, but Keon Coleman is my number 4 rookie wide receiver. And dare I say, becoming one of my favorite, I would say, rotational wide receiver 3s in redraft. You draft him to be your wide receiver 3 with an additional safer wide receiver 3, and then you'll be okay, especially in best ball. But I love Keon Coleman as this year's biggest wild card wide receiver 3 that by season's end could be playing as a high-end wide receiver 2, or dare I say higher. Keon Coleman, you are an absolute gem. You're a Moon Man extraordinaire. Standing ovation and Moon Man celebration.
Mashed potatoes!
Yeah, buddy. The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
Look at him. Now, I'll roll through these quickly. I know some of you are trying to get on the phone line. The phone line's not open yet. There's no number on screen. When you call and no number on the screen, probably not getting in. So hang tight real quick. The phone lines will be open in a second. We talked about Sinnott. This tight end is absolutely, I would say, the biggest sleeper post-combine outside of like Keon Coleman. And I'm trying to think of players. If I look at my thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings where you can get your year-round fantasy football advice, 365 rankings. There's no draft kit on my site. I will be creating a dynasty-only package for people that want dynasty content only, and there will be a difference. I'm going to start differentiating on the site what's redraft and what's dynasty, or what's a combo of both. But so look for that. But if you go to my thefantasyfootballshow.com, year-round rankings, not draft kit. Oh, in June we have an update. In August we have the rankings officially come out, and then we update it 6 times over the year. No, 365 operation. Trey Benson probably got the most just absolute smash in value increase coming out of his landing spot, right? I would say probably. Keon Coleman, right there with them. Maybe those are the top 2. You could even say tied. Those guys got a huge smash in value, uptick in value. Worthy, you could say maybe, but people are already getting excited about him. I think I like Worthy, but I think Xavier Worthy has a lot of risk to his name. Past that, I mean, honestly, Neighbors and Adunze both took a hit. Blake Corum didn't land in a good spot. Jonathan Brooks was fantastic landing spot, so that was a good one as well. And Brock Bowers landed in kind of a bad spot for now. Dare I say Ben Sinnott was next up for having the most bang for the buck in terms of the landing spot. And this is a tight end that comes into a situation where, again, we just witnessed Laporta go from tight end 2, ranked about tight end 2 in the rookie class last year, and ended up being the number 1. Ended up outperforming Kincaid and Mayer. And Mayer's kind of almost, I hope Mayer gets traded. There might be a chance that Mayer's not this, this group of this staff's guy, this club's guy, this current staff might not want Mayer there. Hoping Mayer gets traded. It would be amazing if a team, gave up a 3rd-round pick or something and got Michael Mayer. Mayer goes to the Jets. Can you imagine if Michael Mayer was traded for and he went to the New York Jets? Can you imagine if Michael Mayer was traded for and he went to, God, there's so many great locations he could go to. But Mayer and Kincaid were higher ranked than Laporta to many people. And I think that Sinnott is a player that in similar fashion people are going to overlook, even though there's some excitement. But this is a guy that Adam Peters, GM extraordinaire, handpicked and said, give me Sinnott. Give me this playmaker. And he gets JD5. JD5's thrown to Ben Sinnott. And he's going to turn him into a nice rising star immediately. And dare I say, God, we're going to have so many rookies on the Moonman list. I'm very tempted to put him on the Moonman list. If not the midseason monster list, at least, right? I think you can survive on both lists. I don't mind having guys on 2 different lists. Let's put him on the midseason monsters now, because at some point he's going to blow up. So Ben Sinnott, welcome to the midseason monsters, pal. You are absolutely a midseason monster. There's no doubt about it in my mind. Because you have yourself, young man, a very crafty situation. Ben Sinnott, everybody, mid-season monster extraordinaire, and I'm damn proud to say he's being considered for a Moonman spot. Sinnott, there you go, Mr. Sinnott. You are now a member of the mid-season monsters. Appreciate your contribution to the show. And for anybody that wants a big-time... For good measure, let's hit that button one more time. Ben Sinnott, everybody. Anybody that needs one of those sleeper tight end options, like a Laporta last year, this is your guy. This is your guy. He could have a monster year by midseason. So that's Sinnott. Love him. Isaac Gendo. Isaac Gendo has so much sleeper appeal. He's this guy right here. This guy that wants to be on the Moon Man list.
The Moon Man.
Come on, let me in.
Dropping loads in outer space.
Let me in, the Moon Man. I want to be a Moon Man. Gendo, out.
Space Monsters.
That's Gendo trying to get into the Moon Man list. And let me tell you, we only have so many spots, so it's really hard. Could be a midseason monster. And to say that is unfortunate because that means that Christian McCaffrey would have to go down. The only problem with Gendo, though, there is a hang up as to why he probably won't be a Moon Man. He'd be more of a midseason monster. You know, I don't want to say stab in the dark because you're stabbing at injury. But you see a guy like this guy Gendo, and he's got everything that Eli Mitchell doesn't have and do. Eli Mitchell can't stay healthy anyway, so he's pretty easy to pass. Mason hasn't climbed over the guy that they don't necessarily want to stay in the role anyway. So Gendo is and out of all rookies positionally that Shanahan's capable of saying I don't care that they're rookies, it is running back. Like he definitely could be okay with a rookie running back. He tends to doghouse rookie wide receivers, which is why Legette's kind of a concern. However, Legette's such a hard worker and he's got such good hands. I could see him never getting doghouse, but the problem still remains that does he pass Jennings? Do both Ayuk and Debo stay healthy? He needs some luck to get into the lineup, Legette. And even if, let's say, he gets into the lineup, like if it's not long-term season-ending injury, then, you know, he's not keeping the job. So I think Parasol's got... Did I say Legette? Did I say Legette? I'm sorry. I meant Parasol. Parasol's got a lot of roadblocks that aren't necessarily going to be they're going to be permanent roadblocks. Even if they're moved temporarily, he needs significant injuries to Debo, Ayuk, Jennings, and even Ronnie Bell is kind of, in my opinion, deserving of the shot that Parasol's fighting for. You know, and Jennings is fighting for. I think Ronnie Bell, to be honest with you, I would have drafted Dijon, the cornerback that the Niners reportedly drafted, and then there was a leak reportedly that they were trying to flush out like a rat in the organization. So they leaked out Dijon on one side of the camp, and they leaked out Parasol on the other, and they saw which ones hit what news wires to try and, you know, flush out the leak and the rat. And your boy Smitty talked about how there's rats in these organizations, and some people got mad at my verbiage saying, stop calling reporters rats. Anybody that's reporting and not attaching their name to it and they're a unidentified source is a rat. They're a rat, whatever way you want to look at it. So I don't know if this is true or if this is the Niners actually just panicking and taking Parasol and they were switching their pick at the last second and the Dijon reports were true. They were leaning Dijon and they decided we're going to go with Parasol. But the Niners would have been much better to go Dijon, take Lad McConkey or Parasol had he fallen, and be happy with McConkey, Parasol, and Ronnie Bell instead of forcing now Parasol to be your number one draft pick. Like, that puts a lot of pressure on needing to use him. I just don't think it's the greatest drafts moves. Even though I like Parasol and I love Gendo, the Niners took two players I absolutely love from a fantasy perspective. But Gendo is such a crafty cuff, but you are running the risk of cuffing the wrong guy. You are running the risk of, you know, rookies get banged up a little bit and then they just miss all the you know, playbook learning in camp, and then boom, they're out of the picture. You know, so there is some risk involved if you were to like go handcuff Gendo to McCaffrey right now in a draft and let somebody else take Eli Mitchell, and let's say they grab Mason and Mitchell to try and, I don't know, stonewall you later in a trade, then you could get screwed. So there is some risk factor to this. I would say that if anything, the best value for a Gendo owner is to be standalone Gendo. Like, I mean, you need to grab them if you're a CMC owner. You almost have to grab Mitchell and Gendo and assume Mason's he's going to beat out Mason, but you almost have to grab all three. It's the nature of drafting CMC at age 28, walking into his hold your breath season. You're holding your breath, hoping McCaffrey doesn't get hurt, because all 28-year-olds are completely susceptible of falling off the cliff like Eckler, Aaron Jones, Kamara, everybody dropping off a cliff at 28 years old. Eckler, perfect proof of having the most elite of elite seasons the year prior to his 27-year-old season. Eckler was monstrous. And he comes out in 2028, lays an egg, and craps the bed hardcore. So McCaffrey probably won't crap the bed hardcore. I'm certainly going to draft him in 1 out of 5 leagues if I have the 1.1, but I'm not drafting him in every league that I have the 1.1. Maybe 20 to 10% of my leagues will I draft McCaffrey in. If I'm given the 1.1 in 5 straight leagues, I take McCaffrey in 1. That's it. That's it. I'm not putting all my eggs in McCaffrey's basket at 28 years old, which means the opportunity for this kid is there. He's quick. He's elusive. He shouldn't be as quick as he is for his size. This guy is an absolute gem. And Gendo is a... Did I put him on the midseason monster yet? I didn't, right? God, I'm filling this midseason monster up. Gendo. We'll put him right there for now. We'll have to make this official later. Garendo's kind of, the guy that's unfortunately getting tossed on these lists without being locked in. I'm sorry, Gendo. I'll be back. So that's that. Moving on to Malachi Corley. We talked a lot about this yesterday. In a nutshell, I'll make this one quick. He's the next Deebo Samuel if he's given the opportunity. Now, is he going to get the opportunity? The concern here is that he might take a half a year to develop. He's on the midseason monster list, as you've seen at the top left. Malachi Corley, all these rookies. He's a phenomenal player. The next Deebo Samuel. Why is he the next Deebo Samuel? Am I just running my mouth on that? No, he's the yak yard king in college. He was the FBS thought to be the best yak yard monster in FBS, and so he comes out of the college space, enters the NFL space as the best yak yard prospect, and so that makes him immediately Deebo Samuel-esque, right? And the team that gets him, New York Jets, end up being that team, need to understand how to use him. And I don't know 100% that they do. I think they will use him properly. I think Aaron Rodgers will use him properly. Aaron Rodgers said that, I don't know if you guys that keep calling in, I don't know if you're watching the show or not, but I've said 3 times the phone lines are open once the phone number goes on screen. So I don't know why the same people are trying to call in over and over. Like, you clearly aren't watching the show because I've said that 3 times, so hang tight. I'll open the phone lines in a second. But Malachi Corley is 100% a guy that I am just going to be on the edge of my seat every time he receives the football, because I want him to grow. I want him to mature. I want him to turn into an absolute, breakout. I want him to become the next Deebo. I want him to become something that I think a lot of doubters are suggesting feels Tank Dell-ish walking into Tank Dell's rookie year, right? Oh, he's too small, or Corley's he doesn't have good routes. I love that people doubt a player that comes out of college looking as good as Corley did, and I love that he was overlooked by a lot of teams as well. And the New York Jets saying, you know what, we see something in this kid, he's special. And Aaron Rodgers essentially invited him, Malachi Corley, to come to his home and stay in his guest house, and Corley has accepted the invitation.
Mashed potatoes!
Corley has accepted such invitation. Who wouldn't accept it? Let's just say that right now. But they're going to bond, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't, do well with rookies, or he doghouses rookies. That's not true anymore. This is a different Aaron Rodgers. Number one, Aaron Rodgers had to deal with no rookies almost his entire career. He had the luxury of saying, I have Jordy Nelson, I have Randall Cobb, I have Devontae Adams. So whenever rookies came along, there was already monster players in front of them. They didn't need to turn to the rookies. So it's a little unfair to say Aaron Rodgers doesn't develop rookies when he never had a gaping hole for a rookie until his last year in Green Bay. When Christian Watson, Dobbs, he had this young wide receiver crew, and he did amazingly with them. And I think that maybe that was his first year having to deal with rookies, so he learned a lot. And I think this reaching out to Corley and saying, hey, why don't you come stay at my place? And let me bring you along and do what I did with Watson, but do a better job, because that was my first time trying to bring along a rookie wide receiver. I've learned some things. So that's what makes me so excited about Corley. And God forbid something happens to another wide receiver on that team. I don't even want to say it, because we think G. Willie's going to have an amazing year. But if something happened, Corley would step up. And even if Wilson stays healthy and has a top 12 wide receiver season, Corley still could have enough work and rapport with A-Rod that by this time, right, playing catch in the backyard. And A-Rod's own backyard. These guys will be playing catch because he's staying at Aaron Rodgers' house.
Mashed potatoes.
I know if I was staying at Aaron Rodgers' house, I'd probably be catching footballs all day in the backyard too with A-Rod. You know how it worked out when AB stayed at Tom Brady's house? Worked out pretty well for a while. I know AB went off his rocker, but good God, that was good. So this is good. Andre with the $10 hauler. I've got his question right here queued up. Andre, appreciate your $10 hauler. Hang tight, I'm coming right for you. I'll just close with this. I say my one concern with Corley, though, is if A-Rod's gone, we're relying on Jordan Travis, this rookie, incoming rookie, ankle injury. May or may not be ready for camp or week one even. But he's a good prospect, so I'm hoping he works out and that they can bring him along. But there's still a little bit of concern of when Aaron Rodgers is gone in 1 or 2 years, what happens to Corley, what happens to Garrett Wilson, what happens to this attack, which is why I wanted the Jets to do exactly what the Falcons did, get Michael Penix Jr. The fact that a single person, I'm sorry if this offends anybody, okay, but this is my show, it's my opinion. I think it's a stupid opinion that the Falcons drafting Penix is a mistake. I think it's a dumb opinion. I think anybody that says the Falcons drafting Penix Jr. is a bad pick and they grade him a D or a F or whatever, if you don't give him at least a B, I think it's a dumb take. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. Doesn't mean I dislike you. Doesn't mean I dislike all your takes. I just think it's a stupid opinion. And you can call into my phone line when I open it and tell me why I'm wrong. And I'll shut down everything you got. Because what the Falcons did is what I wanted the Jets to do. The Jets did it in a smaller way with Jordan Travis. And I like him. But I wanted the Jets to have something magnificent when the old man walked away. And the old man Aaron Rodgers is not that much different in my mind than the old man Kirk Cousins, because not everybody can play as long as A-Rod. You can't assume that because there's a little bit of an age discrepancy or whatever. These guys are, once you get past 35, it's all borrowed time. There's no, but Tom Brady could come back at 40, whatever years old he is. What is he, 47? Tom Brady could come back, but he's an anomaly. He's different. He's like the Derrick Henry of running backs. You just can't even consider it. After 35, you have to start thinking differently. You have to start thinking differently. And when you have a guy in Kirk Cousins that's over 35 years old with an Achilles tear, and maybe someone could say they shouldn't have signed with such a big deal. They should have negotiated that down a little. And there I would agree. But Penix Jr. was a marvelous decision. Not just from fantasy, of course from fantasy. You coming into the fantasyfootballshow.com or the Fantasy Football Show YouTube channel and dropping some nonsense like the Penix Jr. wasn't a great pick in a fantasy football world? What world do you live in? It was a magnificent selection from a fantasy football perspective. What's everybody complaining about? And from a football perspective, just as glorious. Call in and tell me I'm wrong. I'm waiting for you. As for Corley, I just wish he had what London has and what Kyle Pitts has and what Bijan has. Security. Nothing's touching Bijan for 10 years because he's got Kirk Cousins and Michael Penix Jr. Nothing's touching Drake London for 10 years because he's got both quarterbacks. Nothing's touching Bijan, London, or Kyle Pitts, or that entire offense. It's secured up as Fort Knox. Andre says just received an offer 325 first rounders for Hurts at QB. I have Hurts, Dak, JJ McCarthy, and Daniels. I'm needy at running back. Wide receivers have Lamb, Collins. You didn't say, oh, okay, Superflex, no. I'd rather have Hurts. I don't care what these, you don't know what these first rounders are. They could be 12 and 11 and 7. Who cares about those? Look at the 12, 11, and 7 players in your rookie draft or the projected rookie draft and tell me who they are. So Hurts is worth more than that. They just are. I don't care about numbers, arbitrary, unknown draft picks. No, thank you. Unless you know for a fact 2 of them are top 3. I don't even have this conversation. Make sure you keep Jalen Hurts. If you're giving that up, then obviously, flip that. You know my answer. Jalen Hurts all the way. Jalen Hurts in a super flex is top 3 overall, and he's worth all kinds of rookie draft picks like that. Thank you for the $10 hauler. $10 haulers get a moonshot. My guy, I appreciate you dropping that. Let me see if you had another question real quickly, though, in here. Wide receivers have Lamb, Collins. Yeah, easy call for me, bro. Easy call for me. No hesitation. I'm taking Hurts for that, or I'm keeping Hurts depending on what side you're on. I'm sorry if I didn't even read what side you're on. Sometimes I don't even want to know. sometimes I answer a question from the middle ground because sometimes you guys word things wrong, and sometimes you don't realize that you're wording it wrong, and I maybe I just I read it wrong, so I'll answer the question in a way that makes sense for you. Thanks for that super chat, Malachi Corley. Appreciate you and your contribution, son. Why do you keep 642 caller? Why do you keep calling? Why do you keep calling? I said the phone lines will be open in a minute, and you keep calling. I'm gonna block you if you keep calling because I told you to wait. Travis. Or Tracy, Tyrone Tracy Jr. is a nice prospect in a nice situation. 642 caller, call back in a minute. I'll help you out. Just wait a second. Tyrone Tracy Jr. landed in the New York Giants running back room, which I believe is wide open. Problem is, though, we saw Barkley fail there. Imagine how bad the running back, the room to run and the navigation of that position is going to be without Barkley. So as much as I like Tyrone Tracy Jr. and he's a sleeper, and I wanted to put him on here just for people that take stabs at him late in the draft, it's an interesting prospect for sure. But I would say at the same time, he's 24 years old. Like he has played like 97 years of college football. So there's a little bit of Ziggy. How old is Tyrone Tracy Jr.? Let's see when he was born.
Tyrone Tracy Jr. is 24 years old. He is a popular American football player who plays as a wide receiver. He is currently a free agent.
Ziggy off. Let me see when he was born because Ziggy's of no help. Thank you. You're worthless. Tyrone Tracy Jr. Was born November. So he turns 25 in November. In the middle of the season. I mean, he's almost ready to retire at the running back position. He's got 3 years. He turns 28. He turns 28 in 3 seasons. McCaffrey. He'll be McCaffrey's age in 3 years. So it's hard to love him. But at the same time, I really like him as a prospect minus that. But that makes it really difficult to truly buy into this being something that's extremely valuable. This next guy, however, is pretty damn interesting. And it's because of a few things. Number one, I think that whenever you see a player like Kamani Vidal, who is really the only healthy-looking running back, and let me see what his age is. I'm not going to ask Ziggy because I think he's going to screw this up. But Vidal's 22 years old. He turns 23 though, so he's also not like a spring chicken. But turning 23 instead of turning 25, during the season is a big difference. It's 2 years for those of you that are calculating that in your head. I'll save you the time. So we're talking about a 2-year difference, but Vidal's still not a young spring chicken, but he is the most healthy running back on the roster right now. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, no thank you. I think the only hope this team has to run the football is through Vidal. And he's got a lot of upside. His stature, he is let me pull up his metrics and his stats from last year as well, just so you guys get a sense of who this kid is. But he's 5'8", 215, decent size. I mean, that's pretty compact. He's short, he's 5'8", but he's compact at least. 215 is a nice weight for that size. That means he's kind of stocky, but his stats are pretty damn good when you really consider. I know he played for Troy. Troy's not a big school. It's not like, it's not like you can say, oh, he's tested and proven in college because he has 2,000-yard back-to-back seasons. But, when you consider that the numbers were pretty damn good, and at least we're not walking, and they drafted him, right? They drafted him, so they obviously saw something in him. But this is his stats. This is Vidal's stats at Troy in his final 2 years, 2022 and 2023. He had 11, 32, and 10 with 4.9 a carry. And then he had a 16, 61, and 14 last year. So he was phenomenal last year. He had some good numbers last year. 1,600 yards and 14 touchdowns. Again, Troy, not saying he had the best competition to play against, but the fact that the team drafted him and the fact that he's going to be the de facto starter at some point, I mean, we're talking about deep sleepers here. Okay, we're talking about guys that you could draft at the tail end of your redraft league and draft in Dynasty, at a certain point when you're taking stabs anyway. I like the opportunity that he's going to be handed, because Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins staying healthy, the odds of that are slim to none. So this is a very, very, very nice running back prospect, and we're deep diving here at this point, but that's what you guys want, right? And his receiving numbers were actually pretty decent when you look at it. This is not a guy that was, looking like he's not coming out looking like a Marshall Faulk or an Eckler or somebody that's going to have 50% reception work, 50%, rushing. But this is a guy that whenever you pull in 200 and a touch, 26, 25, 30 receptions, you're proving you can catch, and it's more about, does your offense use you enough? It's not your fault. These are good numbers. These are pretty good numbers considering. Anytime a running back catches 26 passes in college, 18 passes, 201 yards, 18, 11.2 and a touch, those are good numbers. So Vidal is a very crafty wide receiver, very running back, very crafty running back prospect and stash in redraft and in dynasty. So those are the guys. Let me review them real quickly for you. We had Keon Coleman, who I think is the number 4 rookie wide receiver, and the ability to become a top 3 rookie wide receiver. I don't know who he's knocking out. I'm just telling you that's how good he is, and he could be an elite wide receiver 3, even an amazing wide receiver 2 in redraft this year under Josh Allen, because who else is catching the football? Like, this is something in hindsight we're all going to circle back and go, how did we not see it? I mean, we did, because I'm saying it right here, and we are talking about it. But I mean, in general, you're going to hear people say, how did I not see this coming? All the vacated targets, and it was Josh Allen, and they pass a lot. And he's a pretty high prospect. Like, it's not that difficult. It really isn't. Ben Sinnott, Adam Peters handpicked this guy, and Adam Peters knows ball. And there's a wide open vacancy, in my mind at least, at the tight end position in Washington. This guy's the best shot at being the next Sam Laporta. Gendo, cuff him, hope he gets a shot. I mean, no one's wanting CMC to get injured. He'll need that in order to climb up. But if you own Gendo, you're hoping he gets a crack. You got to make sure you understand that he might not even grab the backup role because he could get doghouse, but very likely to avoid getting doghoused as a rookie running back than a rookie wide receiver in Kyle Shanahan's offense, though. Corley, love him. He's moving in with Aaron Rodgers into the guest house so he can learn how to, mingle with him. So that's fantastic. The rapport is going to be great. I mean, he's living at Aaron Rodgers' house. This is fantastic news. Tracy, old guy, 24 years old, turning 25 in November, but in New York Giants, he is a decent prospect at running back, but I just don't like him that he's 24, turning 25 as a running back. And Vidal, also older, but 2 years younger, still older though. Very good prospect. And again, in a crowded running back room that has nothing but all ACL and Achilles tear players, leading the way. Very boring Harbaugh offense, as I predicted. Harbaugh's just, I don't know what he's doing. Phone lines are open. Dial into the show. Your boy's here to assist you. And for all you guys kept trying to dial in, go ahead.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Call into the show. The phone line's brought to you by theattic.shop. Go to theattic.shop, people. Grab yourself a hoodie. Call your boy loud with a celebratory message of sorts. 7 months, my guy. AR5 is JD5. He wants me to play it. There are
2 5s? JD5? AR5? There can't be.
Oh no. They're gonna cross streams. All right, while we wait for this to clear up, this explosion, the 425 or whatever the hell number that was, you can call it now, pal. I'm not mad at you. I don't know if you were listening because I said it 5 times, but I'm here for you, and I don't care about that. I've got thick skin, and I've got a quick reset in my memory bank. Okay, so dial in and let's help you out. Call your boy loud. Appreciate you being a member for 7 months, and appreciate your request of the 2 5s. Drop. So we dropped that. I've gotten McDaniels in rookie 2 drafts so far, 1.5 and 1.7. McDaniels? Do you mean, first of all, you're writing backwards here, bro. I've gotten McDaniels in rookie 2 drafts so far. You mean JD5? Jaden Daniels? Why you call him McDaniels? 642 caller. Who's this? What's your name? Where are you calling from?
New Zealand.
Oh, okay. What's your name, bro?
Bob. Yeah, I'm calling from 7,000 miles away, mate.
Oh,
Kiwi land.
What's your name, bro? What's your name?
Bob.
Huh?
B-O-B. Bob.
B-O-B. Bob from New Zealand. I love it. What's up, man?
Yeah. I'm your number 1 new fan, mate. I'm just watching you.
Love it.
Every day.
I love it. I even reamed you for calling in the phone line over and over and over, and you still are my biggest fan. I love it. I love it. Give him a standing ovation.
Let's go. Mashed potatoes.
Okay, what's up, my guy? What can I do for you? Appreciate you.
That's a badge of honor, man. You were going to block me, and I hadn't even called.
That's amazing.
First-time caller.
Bro, do you know how hard? Do you know how hard that is? Like you're like 1 in 100 the way you bring the thunder like that. Okay, hit me with it. What can I help you with, Bob from New Zealand, who's now on the phone line, entered in the system, ready to rumble going forward?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of go a little bit off topic and look, the rugby players. I just want to mention a name for you guys. You know how the rugby players, that guy for the Chiefs, that some guy.
The new kickoff rules.
One player. Yeah, there's one player. And I've watched rugby, soccer all my life, and NFL, I'm an NFL freak. But there's a guy called, his surname, Lomu, Jonah Lomu. And the Cowboys were going to sign him, and they hadn't even seen him play. And he is the
That sounds like the
ultimate
Cowboys.
freak.
It sounds like the Cowboys. Hold on. Let me stop you there.
No, but he would have made it. He was like, there's no athlete in our part of the world that has his, like, you guys have all these freaks, you got 6'8" freaks like Gronk or whatever. He was like a Gronk, but just faster, tougher. But anyway, mate, Penix Jr., you are right. It's a QB league. You got an old guy. Is he going to win a Super Bowl? His old, what's his name? I've even forgotten his name.
You talking about Kirk Cousins? Yeah, Kirk Cousins.
Yeah. He's not going to win the Super Bowl for them, is he?
Well, so in defense of those saying it's a bad draft selection, one could say then why sign Kirk Cousins? I get that. But those two are completely separate conversations. But also, if they've got money to burn, and the way I look at this, bro, is in a similar fashion to you've got a salary cap. I'm not saying you just blow money to blow money, but in like a fantasy football $200 auction, you got to spend your money. And at some point, you could say to yourself, I'm going to back up this position, overspend a little bit, because in 3 years from now, it won't affect me. For 2 years, it will. So they bring in Kirk Cousins on this, what essentially could be a 2-year deal. And yeah, they might be overpaying, but they have the best QB room security-wise in the National Football League. And people can rip on that all they want.
Exactly.
But if they nail it on either side, it's a huge win. And as I mentioned, I don't know if you missed this show, but there was a Raheem Morris, the new head coach of the Falcons, was interviewed for the job when Arthur Smith got the job. And he was interviewed beforehand for that, and they asked him, what would you do with the quarterback position? And he said that he would make sure there's a succession plan immediately in place, and then Arthur Smith came in and interviewed and says, I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. And so they, for whatever reason, liked his answer more, and Raheem Morris went away. Then Arthur Smith came in and did his thing and screwed up the quarterback position. Then Raheem Morris returned for his interview recently to get the job and said, remember what I told you? And they're like, yep, you were right. And he's like, let me do it. So anybody that thinks that Raheem Morris stepped on his own junk in this draft and got nervous and pulled the trigger on some stupid... No, this is what he brought to the table in the interview prior to this job that he won with the Atlanta Falcons. So this is his thinking. And can anybody question what Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris are doing coming out of the Rams offense and watching what the Rams are doing with Stafford? Like if they can turn either Cousins or Penix Jr. into Stafford, which turns Puka Nacua or London into Puka and Bijan into Kyron, I don't think anybody's going to be complaining. But let them complain.
Exactly. And Washington, you saw Penix in Washington, man. He was fantastic, wasn't he? And so, and you could have him for 10 years, right? You could have the guy for 10 years, like he's 25 or something. No, it's a smart move. It's a quarterback-driven league. All these Neville nobodies that are complaining about, well, we missed out on the draft pick that could have been a bust. You could have your next 10-year dude, right?
Yeah. All right, well, hey, we'll keep an eye out. What's the guy's name? Give me the last name. What? Lobo?
Yeah, okay. His first name is Jonah.
Jonah?
Jonah,
okay.
like the whale. And his
Jonah.
surname is Lomu, Lomu. Just go to YouTube, look up his rugby highlights.
Lomu.
I've seen him in person. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lomu, yeah. He's the only, in conclusion, he's
What?
the only rugby player that 100% would have made it with you guys.
Why did the Cowboys not sign him then? If they were going to sign this guy on...
No, exactly. No, you're right. The reason why, have you ever heard of the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team?
Yeah.
The New Zealand rugby team is the best in the world, right?
Uh-huh.
And he had a choice. He could play for he had a career for them. He's like a national hero here, right? So he chose to, he probably took a little bit less money, but he had to make a choice. Play rugby or go to NFL. He chose rugby.
Okay.
And that was in the 90s. It's in the 90s. This is a while back, but just for your viewers, go and check out on YouTube this guy, and you will all agree, man, that he would have made it.
Someone in the comments said he passed away.
Yeah, that's right, man. It was quite sad.
So,
you're
bringing me really old news.
Oh no, yeah, I know, but no. The point is, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
No, the point is that all we have down here. Everyone says, "Oh, we can make it in the NFL."
Okay.
There's a big thing saying,
But he didn't.
Why can't rugby players make it? Well, they can't, mate.
Well, we need to see it. I'll tell you what, though. The new rules in kickoff returns make it so that this probably the door will be open for this at some point. And so you're right. And so we will see that. But yeah, bring us a new name that's relevant though, not somebody that's passed away. All right, hey, appreciate you, Bob. Bob from New Zealand, one of my biggest fans overseas. Appreciate you, bro.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hey, call back if you got another question, Bob. Appreciate you, man. Later. 337 caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Adam, and I am in Georgia right now.
Okay.
I'm all over though.
Okay, Adam
Anyway,
from all over.
Bub Means. That's a name that you need to put up on that sleeper list.
Okay, talk about him.
Wide receiver out of Pittsburgh. Big body. He goes up and gets the ball. And with Clint Kubiak going to New Orleans, it's going to be a better year for that offense.
Okay, all right. Appreciate you dropping that. What do you like about these receivers that I've talked about today, and running backs and tight end? Because I got Sinnott. Who's your favorite out of Tracy, Vidal, Corley, Gendo, Sinnott, and Coleman?
Probably Corley and Coleman.
Yeah.
I think Corley is probably going to have the better overall career if they could get some decent backup play over there at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Coleman, I don't see him having a stellar career. He'll be good, but Buffalo is Buffalo, you know. They don't really produce.
I think he's going to prove everyone wrong, bro. He's hungry. He's hungry, and he's a real likable guy. There's a little bit of like hesitancy by me, and I admitted it, that he reminded me a lot of Jameis Winston. Like just a little bit wild, no matter what, like almost never serious. Like when you interview him, he's never serious, and part of me just like initially judges that immediately, and I admitted it. I'm judging him right now, and I don't know if it's fair. And I reserve the right to change my mind. I said I'm not sure yet. I'm just trying to take it all in. But I have a feeling he's just a very likable guy, and he's not like unfocused or anything. I think once he gets in the huddle, once he's on the field, he's not like making jokes and being unserious. He's out there on the field like taunting and stuff. And I think he kind of shifts that comedic need toward taunting and talking. So he's definitely going to be a guy that runs his mouth. But I like him a lot, and he's in there training now, and Josh Allen specifically wanted him above all other wide receivers. I'm sure he would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. and Neighbors in a Doomsday, but of all of the, after the big three, of the guys that they could land at 28 overall, I'm pretty confident that this Josh Allen's not just, blowing smoke up our rear ends. I believe this is his fourth ranked wide receiver. So to me, that makes me feel like this is a guy that Allen believes he can work with perfectly, and I think he's going to surprise you, bro. I think he's not just going to have a good career; he's going to have a great career.
I would see him on a Dante Stallworth type level. Not anything stellar, but fairly good. So.
All right. Well, he's going to try and prove you wrong, Adam.
I hope.
All right, my man. All right,
I'm banking on it. I need a big season out of Buffalo this year.
All right, call in if you got another one later.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Joe Salter's dropping a $20 wad on screen. Joe, you're a monster, Joe. Absolute straight savage.
Alert. Super chat alert.
Just straight savage up in here. I've got, Joe's is over here. Joe says 1 QB, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, 1 tight end. Allen, Purdy, James Cook, Eckler, Javonte, Hubbard, Ford, Neighbors, Hollywood, Cup, Jaden Reed, London, Pitts. Okay, so good wide receivers. Allen, quarterback, great. Running backs are a little to be desired, right? Because you've got James Cook, Eckler. I don't love the running backs, but I love the receivers, love the quarterback. Tight ends are solid, bro. 3.3, Sinnott or Roman Wilson? You need running backs more than anything, so, I assume those RBs are gone. I would take Sinnott probably. I think he's really something special. Roman Wilson's nice, but Sinnott's got the chance to be the next Laporta. Roman Wilson, to me, has the chance to, at best, be... I mean, I like him, but at best, he's a high-end second wide receiver on his team, in my opinion. And so, I mean, you never know. And then try to flip Cup and 3.3 for a stronger flex. Yeah, try and get Benson, bro. Try and get Benson for that Cup and 3.3. And Benson in a dynasty is going to be glorious value later. I think right now, because he's not the starter, he's easy to trade for. I promise you're not going to see a good value for him later if he starts flashing, signs of brilliance. Then people are going to be like, okay, he's taking over at some point. Right now, people are pushing back and they're going, Connor is usually legit when I see that all the time. I put up a Benson post on my Instagram, and immediately the first two posts were two negative Nellies that said, isn't James Conner always elite when he's in there? Like, nobody, it's not that they're not right. Like, the cuff is really nice in redraft, but the fact that the first two posts were negative, the vibe is negative. The temperature's negative on Benson to a degree. So go get Benson right now. I've got the 2.6, 2.8, 2.10 in a super flex. Which wide receiver would you take of these? Leggett, Mitchell, Parasol, Wilson, Franklin. I like Troy because I have Knicks. Of those guys, I'm taking and Polk. I'm probably taking Leggett. I just feel like he has the best opportunity to be his team's number one. I do like Mitchell too. I don't. This is not best ball, and it's not. It's regular dynasty. I'm not so much worried about stacking, bro. Stacking doesn't do much for me at all. It's fun. That's pretty much it. It doesn't help you win games in redraft or dynasty. It does in best ball to a degree, and it's even forced too much in best ball. But I would just go with Leggett personally. But if you really believe that Troy Franklin's going to be the guy, like, and you think he's going to be elite, take him. Like, don't listen to me. I'm on the fence about it. So don't let me shove you over onto the other side that I barely feel, any sort of feelings about. All right, dial into the phone line. Brought to you by theattic.shop.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
Anyway, good little show. Appreciate you all. Appreciate everybody being here. What do I have to play here? I had some things that I was going to... That was funny, that guy calling in about the rugby player. And I'm like, oh, I thought he was giving us a name for now. But the guy was passed away. He's like, this rugby player, he almost made it. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, so he's still out there. But good guy from New Zealand. I'm glad. Bob, I'm glad we got you here. It will be funny and interesting when rugby players do end up becoming a little more relevant, and I think they will with the new rules. I think it's definitely a possibility. The new kickoff rules are going to have teams like filling that kickoff return void differently. Do you talk about Braylon Allen? Not in these sleepers or breakouts, no. I do like him, though. But I don't like him in New York. I think he's a good cuff. I think you cuff him, but he's not even a guarantee to be the number 2 in New York. So, he used to say grandmas don't play. Yeah, grandmas play non-PPR. That's what I say, Gabriel. Grandmas play non-PPR. Jack of all trades has an issue with this Stallworth. I was going to say something. I was going to go, Stallworth ain't that bad, bro. Like, what are you talking about? He caught 537 passes for 8,723 yards and 63 touchdowns. All Steelers team records at one time. Veteran 6 AFC champion. I like your defense of Stallworth. Dante Stallworth deserves more respect than I think the last caller gave him. Yeah, I agree. J-Far, what's up? You're live.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, bro.
Good. I want to get your thoughts on a guy that you didn't really speak of today, A.D. Mitchell.
Yeah, I know. You probably are you a Colts fan?
No.
Okay.
I know you liked it coming into the draft. So.
I kind of liked him. I'll be honest. I wasn't super high on him. I liked him. I liked my general stance was with a lot of these mid-range receivers was I'm waiting, just like the RBs. I'm waiting because it's one of those classes. Usually I can stand firm, like Hall and Gibbs and Bijan. Like it didn't matter. They were my guys, but with this group outside the top 3 wide receivers, it's been very much a where's Leggett go, where's Parasol go, where's McConkey go, where's Keon Coleman go, where's A.D. Mitchell go, because they're all going to get jostled around based on landing spots. So he wasn't a favorite of mine, and honestly, bro, I don't mind the landing spot, but the reports of him struggling with his type 1 diabetes, which, prayers up to him in that struggle, mixed with his attitude potential problems, I don't know that this feels like a very good situation. Like, I don't know that it feels like a secure one, at least. Is the talent there? Yeah. But there's a lot of red flags.
One more quick question. Do you, I'm assuming you like Javon Baker over Jalen Polk in New England. Is that right?
Javon Baker over Polk, that's a tricky one because I don't draft it that way. I draft Polk ahead of him by far, and then I draft Javon Baker and I cuff him. They're a unique cuff to me. That's a very unique wide receiver cuff. But I certainly won't draft Javon Baker over Polk, no, because you don't need to. But do I quietly like him more? I mean, maybe it kind of depends, bro. We still need to see Polk out there. They drafted Polk ahead of him, so they're going to give him a shot. But like in terms of a sleeper conversation, I'm excited about Javon Baker, bro. Really excited about him.
Great. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, call back if you got another one. The phone lines are open. Rock Out dropping a 20 watt. He says, Smitty, get some ice cream on Rock Out. What are we doing here?
Super chat alert. Alert. Super chat alert.
Rock Out. Dropping the ice cream drop on everybody. $20 hauler. Damn, Rock Out. Appreciate you, my man. And then TMO saying, what do you think on the $2 hauler? What do you think on Braylon Allen? I loved him as a prospect, and again, this was the wait and see, right? Even Benson, we had to wait and see. If Benson had gone to the Jets, it would have been more of a problem than Braylon Allen going to the Jets. We would have had to kind of go, okay, this isn't good. If Benson would have went to the Rams, it would have been kind of a problem. I'll admit. Like, we would have been like, okay, it's definitely the best cuff in the league. And McVay doesn't use 2 running backs. So it would be an expensive cuff, but very, very secure, but it would have been a problem. Braylon Allen, Blake Corum, these are different breeds of 2024 rookie running back. They're a step down. They're a big teardrop down. And while I think that you could put Braylon Allen a tier down from Trey Benson into a better spot and get a better player, while that's possible, i.e., you put Braylon Allen in Arizona and you put Trey Benson behind somebody where the job's not clearly available, then all of a sudden Braylon Allen's a breakout sleeper, right? Braylon Allen in Dallas would have been phenomenal, but Dallas crapped all over themselves. Braylon Allen in Houston would have been pretty intriguing long term to me, because I don't believe Mixon will stay healthy or even last more than a year if he did. So at the current moment, he landed in probably the worst spot he could have landed. Braylon Allen in New York is a really crappy landing spot because he ain't taking nothing from Breece Hall. Maybe some goal line work if he's lucky, but he's not getting handed that out of the gate, bro. He's a rookie. They're not giving the football to a rookie who could fumble the ball and doesn't know the offense or the playbook. This is a long-term project that may or may not even work out to the tune of him becoming the backup. But, you know, I think I cuff him. It's definitely a solid cuff. Jack of all trades says, and pizza. Mars men rule. So Rockout drops a 20, Mars man extraordinaire. Jack of all trades drops a 20, and they're going at each other. This is kind of like the 2 5s, if you ask me.
There are 2 5s? JD 5, AR 5?
Rockout on the left.
There can't be.
Oh no. Jack of all trades on the right.
They're gonna cross streams.
Rockout and Jack of all trades are crossing streams. From now on, anytime one super chatter tries to match or one-up the other super chatter with a $20+ hauler, it's called crossing streams moving forward. And Rockout and Jack of all trades just cross streams.
Alert. Super chat alert.
You guys can cross streams on my live stream anytime. I appreciate both of you. Travis Rowe in the building, another Mars man. What's up, Travis? What do you think about all the players we've talked about? Tried to hit some different ones, even though we talked about Keon Coleman and Corley again. I tried to make sure we're going pretty deep on Sinnott, Gendo, Vidal.
Yeah, who were the main ones? I missed the very beginning of it.
The what?
It was Sinnott. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Who was it? Sinnott, Tracy, Coleman. Who else did you hit?
It was let me move this over here.
I think it was like four guys.
We got a Kyron hater in the building, I think. Hold on, we'll put that. Well, I'll address that in a second. let me come for you in a second, King. Hang tight. Vidal, the 87-year-old rookie running back Tracy Jr., Tyrone Tracy. I couldn't believe he's 24, turning 25 this year. That was kind of a kick to the sack because I was excited about him, and I was looking up his age, and I didn't realize how old he was, and that kind of takes a dump on some of the upside. Corley, Gendo, and Sinnott, and then Coleman.
Yeah, I think Sinnott is very interesting because of where he went.
Yeah.
And I still think even with Mike Williams there and stuff, I think Corley is going to still have plenty of chances to get the ball in his hands. And I was going to say with A.D. Mitchell, I saw a couple other people saying kind of the same thing in the chat, and I agree with them that, like, there's definitely boom or bust there. Like, I feel like he's going to hit his ceiling pretty quick, or he could, like, I saw someone say, like, Kadarius Toney, like, just always be in his own way and not work out. But
yeah,
I actually like the spot for him, though, because it's tough to know exactly what's going on because you hear different stories. Because you also hear that he's a great kid and people love him. So, I've heard very mixed things. And if it's just his diabetes that, when he gets with a NFL nutritionist and in a better program and a better routine, that might not be an issue at all, or who knows, he might not take care of himself and it could be a problem. But so I think the personality thing, like you said, is got to be wait and see because the talent is there for sure.
Yeah, I just think when you have, my saying, and I think it's a really, really good thing to live by, if not to avoid somebody, but to just pause and maybe like look around. But my saying is always when there's one red flag or obstacle, not a big deal if your intuition is saying, I believe in this kid, but when there's multiple red flags and multiple obstacles, you just gotta back off a little bit and like try not to be biased with it. Mm-hmm. And when he has the off the field concerns, he has the diabetes type 1, You know, it's not like it's type 2 or 3. It's like type 1 diabetes that he isn't, doing well managing that. Those are some concerns, and then on top of that, it's like I already kind of question whether he was in the same group as this other group. Like, if Coleman went to a horrible spot and A.D. Mitchell went to an amazing spot like Buffalo, we'd probably be on the A.D. Mitchell train. Like, I'm not trying to lie on that. That's just situation is such an amazing piece and component of this game we're playing, fantasy football. So there's no denying that situation could change some of the obstacles, but we'd still be touting them. We'd still be saying like the obstacles. We'd still be saying, okay, we got to watch his type 1 diabetes. We got to make sure we're not overdrafting him in too many leagues. But he's got an amazing situation. But Keon Coleman, to all my research on it, is just looking like the perfect fit, not only for the Bills, but for Josh Allen. And the way Josh Allen's talking about him, whenever you have a quarterback telling you that you're the one he wanted, handpicked, he even said, and I know he doesn't mean it about Marvin Harrison Jr., okay? He probably would, in front of Keon Coleman, press a button that would swap him. He'd be like, I'm sorry! But, like, he said to him, out of all the wide receivers, you're the one that I wanted. Like, that is such an amazing thing to hear. Because do you hear anybody else saying that? No. So, like, could he be saying it to make him feel good? Partly, and partly did mean it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, for him to say that at all is unreal.
I agree with you on Coleman. My thing with, and I agree with you for the most part on Mitchell, but what makes Mitchell's situation not amazing is my question. Like, if AR5 is healthy, we saw that he's a better passer than people think. If we think, the wide receiver 1,
you're not wrong,
role is up to the grabs possibly. And you saw what Josh Downs and Pittman did with AR5 in a short amount of time. Like, so I think Indy could be really good this year. So I guess I just wasn't sure if you don't think the situation.
No, none of my argument is situation isn't good. Like
okay.
that,
so
yeah, his situation.
Just the other stuff.
Just type 1 diabetes, and that he's struggling with it. Not just that he has it. Like saying, oh, somebody has type 1 diabetes, but they're really good at managing it, is like, okay, that's kind of like how do you deal with that? You probably say, okay, well, I guess I got to trust that he's managing it well, so we're okay with it, right? But he's not managing it well, is what we're hearing. And I don't know if some of that's been fabricated to lower his draft stuff. I mean, there's a lot that needs to come out. That's why we're still kind of pausing on it. And then you hear that he's kind of like a wild card, and that type 1, not managing your type 1 diabetes could put you in some.
I was going to say, make you moody.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, that's all that stuff just feels kind of dangerous to me in terms of like high expectations. But if everybody else is worried about it and he keeps dropping, then he becomes a value. So it just kind of depends on what value we're talking. Right. Real quickly, let me address let me address these real quick. We got King says everyone's sleeping on Corum. Kyron's nothing special. Okay, King, nothing special. He's a 6th round pick that had a great season. Everyone blinded by watch Corum take over at some point. Corum a 3rd round pick. Kyron a 6th round pick. Who do you think? Who do you really think the Rams think is better? Well, number 1, King, you're obviously that was a no offense, but a silly question. Like, you're embarrassing yourself by saying which one do you think the Rams think is better. Like, that is embarrassing. That's embarrassing, bro. Because we know who the Rams think is better. We know who the entire league thinks is better. Who cares about their draft capital? After this after conversation, this little after party we're having about Kyron's value has nothing to do any longer with this draft value. You can't just go, oh, you had such an amazing season, but who do you think is better? What do you mean, who do you think is better? How about the guy that scored 15 touchdowns in 12 games? How about the guy that didn't come off the field almost all season long, which is partly why they drafted Corum, so they don't have to break him and they can give him like 15% of the workload off instead of having them run 100 or 98% of all the plays. But Did you really just say this? That Corum a 3rd-round pick, Kyron a 6th-round pick? Who do you think they think is better? Maybe maybe what you meant to say, King, was at the time of drafting him, they potentially may have saw him as a lesser value than at the time of drafting Corum, they saw Corum. Like, Brock Purdy was drafted at 262 as the last draft selection. And do you think that the Niners would draft a backup quarterback right now, let's say in the 4th round or something, and say, would you ask that same question about Brock Purdy? Like, what are you talking about? And second of all, like at some point you got to relinquish and release and let go of the draft capital once a player breaks through a threshold and becomes one of the best running backs in the National Football League. So, unbelievable.
You said it. I said the same thing about James Robinson back in the day, but James Robinson only went bad because he blew his Achilles out.
Well, James Robinson, look, draft capital is a problem to a point until a person or a player busts through the threshold of like where a team's going to look at that anymore. Kyron's so far beyond that conversation, bro. Like, that's that's such a really elementary claim to be talking about draft capital with Kyron Williams. That is weird. It's weird. You're clinging on to some like weird evaluation. Didn't know there was such a thing as a Kyron hater. Believe me, the Kyron haters are all over the place. It's wild, bro. It is wild. Doesn't matter where they were taken. Kyron played full year last year. Well, he missed 5 games, but dominated. The Rams needed a backup. Yeah, it's great. It's a great cuff. It's an absolute great cuff. But for anybody to act like Kyron Williams, he was on pace for 16-21. 21 rushing touchdowns would have been his touchdown total had he played the other 5 games if you extrapolate the data. And even if we don't play a data extrapolation game, which we don't need to. I don't even need to do that to prove my point. He scored 15 touchdowns in 12 games. He scored 12 rushing touchdowns in 12 games. And I don't care about volume. He was also ultra damn efficient when he ran the football. And so even these claims, and I'm sorry, I think I saw Brian say something about like he needed extensive volume in order to get his numbers. That is not true as well. He was unbelievable every time he touched the football. He averaged 5 yards per carry. What is difficult about, no offense, Brian, but what is difficult about saying here are the numbers. Here are the numbers. He averaged 5 yards per carry. There's no argument about he needed the carries in order to get the numbers. That's a ridiculous claim, Brian. It's not even remotely close to the truth. He had 228 carries, 1144, 5 yards per carry, 12 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns. They didn't need to overfeed him to get the 1144. He averaged 5 yards a pop, bro. 5 yards per carry. I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing here? What are we kind of Mickey Mouse live stream is this becoming? Where we got to teach school here on the channel. We got to teach people about fantasy football 101 on this channel. This is a channel for veterans. I'm ashamed right now. I'm about to end the live stream. J-Far, you're live. This is like when you're... hold on a second, J-Far, hold on. This is like when you go to practice and your coach is so pissed off. He says, practice is over. I'm about to send everybody home. J-Far, what's up?
Hey, yeah, listen, I remember the trade you did in our Dynasty League. It looks like it's gonna work out for you. But I had another question that just came up in my head. For sleepers, which ones from the second-year wide receivers do you think can catapult themselves, to being top picks in the 2025 redraft season? Among like Zay, Tank, Dell, Addison.
Right, say read him again. Read him again. You kind of jostle or you kind of smashed 2 players together, and I couldn't hear what you said.
Sure, I'm just gonna name you a bunch of names. But okay. Zay Flowers, Tank Dell, Addison, JSN, Josh Downs, Jaden Reed, and Rasheed Rice.
Dell stands out above them all. You said JSN, Dell. Who are the big four? JSN, Dell.
Addison, Jaden Reed. Rasheed Rice is out for half the year probably, so he's not going to be involved.
At least. Give me Dell above the rest. I mean, Dell above Zay Flowers is good too, but give me Dell.
What do you think of Jaden Reed? Do you think he'll be the one on that team, or it's just gonna be a bunch of guys contributing?
I think he is the one for sure. Watson's still got something to prove, but I think until further notice, we don't even consider that Jaden Reed's not the number one wide receiver on that team. He's too dynamic, and I almost feel like he's a little bit Debo-esque, Debo Samuel. They have like certain plays designed for him. He's the across the middle guy. He's the yak yard guy. And Brian says, then why draft Corum? Ha ha. I don't know who, Brian, I don't know who you think you are using a ha ha in that sentence, my guy. Like, who gave you the right to ha ha in that sentence? Why draft Corum? Because they need a backup running back. Hey, Brian, maybe the Chargers should learn from this. Maybe they should draft a single good running back or bring in a single good running back, let alone be smart and draft a complement to their starter, one that very much mirrors his skill set, no doubt about it. Corum very much kind of looks a little bit like a baby Kyron. That's fantastic. This is the best cuffing in the world. But what do you think they're supposed to do? Not have a backup running back? This is the weirdest argument, Brian. I mean, come on, bro. Why are you arguing this point? Why are you jumping on team hater on Kyron? Why are you on team hate Kyron? What makes you jump on that side all of a sudden to go defend that side? Why in the world would you want to get in that boat, bro? I don't even understand why you would go that direction. Why would you will put that kind of receipt out there? Why'd they draft a backup? Am I right? Oh, I'm taking away your Bijan card.
Your Bijan card has been revoked.
Oh, go ahead, Jay Farr. You were saying Jaden Reed. I like. The one wide receiver that could surprise everybody on that list is Flowers or Jaden Reed, probably. JSN I love, but we want Lockett out of there, and he's not out of there yet. I do like him, but I would say at
Lockett's
the end of the
that, like, that he's 31.
Yeah.
The decline is imminent. So.
It is, but he also doesn't get hit or tackled, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't even know why you entertain this Blake Corum stuff.
Because it's entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not just gonna run away from comments. Like, this is part of the show. There are people that want to talk about it, and some people say, Smitty, don't let him get to you. Do I look like it's getting to me? Like, really? Do I really look like it bothers me? Or does it look like I'm passionately arguing against it, using the hate to further my message on Kyron, is what this is. I'm smarter than that. I'm thinking 3 and 4 steps ahead. I'm not so shallow-minded or hollow as a person or a content creator that a negative person's getting to me. You know how much negativity I see every day? I gloss over it. I don't even read negative comments or negative people. The only time I engage with negativity is because it is like a softball pitch and I'm going to smack the ball out of the park. I'm smarter than that. Give me more credit than that. So people saying, Smitty, don't let him get to you. No one's getting to me. Brian doesn't get to me. Brian, the last thing in the world Brian does is disrupt my dinner. I'm sitting there with Miss Smitty. Can you believe, as I'm eating my meatloaf, there's this guy on my channel, Miss Smitty, really pissed me off earlier. His name's Brian MC. And he doesn't like Kyron. Can I cry in your lap like Caleb Williams? I let it bother me. This meatloaf is a little raw. Can we get it cooked a little longer, Miss Smitty? I think I'm going to go live again. I think that's how you guys envision me. And Brian says, I'm not trying to be right. Ha, ha, ha. We know that. You're clearly proving you're not trying to be right because you're taking the stabs in the dark, pal, throwing mud at the wall, putting out dumb receipts. Anyway. J-Far, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting you. Final thoughts.
No, listen, my final thoughts, honestly, your track record with running backs in the past few years have been really, really top-notch. Like, when you say something, you have the proven history that, you know, that you do know what you're talking about. Also, to anyone that, you know, is doubting you or anything like that. You were right 2 years ago saying Breece Hall was a superstar. Last year, Jahmyr Gibbs, superstar. You know what you're doing when it comes to your running backs. Almost all the time you hit.
Hey, sometimes we're a year early. I was a year early on Kyren, and I'll never forgive myself for not doubling down last year on Kyren in the preseason because I was super high on Kyren as rookie year.
Everyone.
I was so pissed at myself because that would have been as big of a win as like the Gibbs and Bijan and you know like I'm really that if you want to know something that gets me and bothers me while I'm eating my supper with Miss Smitty and I go, I'm really pissed off, Miss Smitty. I knew it and I didn't do anything about it, Miss Smitty. I'm gonna cry like Caleb Williams in your lap. Brian says I like Kyren, he says.
Brian Mick, I like Kyren.
You would have fooled me, Brian. You would have fooled me. You like Kyren. You say don't put words in my mouth. I like Kyren. You would have fooled everybody on this channel. Because I mean honestly, J-Far, does it sound like Brian likes Kyren?
Probably not. No.
I mean, Travis, does it sound like Brian's team Kyren? I don't think so.
Well, no, but the one thing that confuses me is he also said he thinks it's going to be a 70-30 split in favor of Kyren. But he's also saying all this about Kyren.
What's wrong with 70-30? What's wrong with 70-30?
Well, that's what I said. That's plenty for him to dominate.
That's a backup running back.
He contradicts himself.
Yeah, I don't know what he's...
Right,
you know what? You know what? I have the solution. This should solve it all.
He's Kyren, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyren, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
That should solve it for you. Anyway. All right. Hey, J-Far, appreciate you, bro. Appreciate the kind words. We'll see you later. Call in anytime.
Take care.
All right. You're double talking Donnie right now, Brian. I love you, Brian. Brian MC and I have had our little spats before. It doesn't make me not like him. Doesn't make me not want Brian around. Brian, it's kind of like, cousins fighting or something, Brian spilled the milk at Thanksgiving dinner right now all over the place, and he's defending himself very poorly. And we're all sitting there going, Brian, you're making it worse, bro. Just clean the freaking milk up, bro. And now he's saying, I like Kyren just because I think Corum will eat into his carries. No one said Corum's not getting any work. What are you talking about? Like, this is trying to have your cake and eat it too. This is double talking. You can't come in and talk about draft capital, very negative things about Kyren, and then act like you think it's going to be Kyren's going to explode. I never said Kyren wasn't going to do good. I just said they're going to use Blake Corum. Who said they're not using Blake Corum? That's why they drafted him, to keep Kyren healthy. Who said he's not going to get 20% of the work, probably minimum, to help Kyren stay healthy? Nobody said that. You're double talking Donnie right now. You're double talking Donnie. It's okay, but you're double talking because you're the one putting words in everyone else's mouth that's saying they love Kyren so much he's going to the moon, and you're talking about draft capital. Not a game, draft capital. Let's see here. Look at Silver Rapture's in the building. He says you're double talking. You're double talking, MC. You're double talking, MC. Don't do it. All right. And another thing, too. There's zero, and I've said this before, so you have only yourself to blame, and anybody that doesn't listen to this, it's their own fault. I've said this, I can't say how many times. You draft Kyron Williams without Blake Corum cuffed, your mother's ashamed of you. I'm ashamed of you. Everyone here is ashamed of you. There probably is no more important handcuff in fantasy than Blake Corum. That's because of McVay's system and a mix of Blake Corum being a perfect fit for McVay. It was a great selection. It's a great handcuff. It's a great backup. If Kyron goes down, Corum could have 100 yards and a touchdown on the ground any given game. So if anybody doesn't cuff these two together, they should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. And it's a big miss. If you draft in a redraft league, Kyron Williams without Blake Corum, you're absolutely crapping the bed hardcore. So that's what's interesting about the debate Brian's trying to have, because that's my stance. That's been my stance since Blake Corum was drafted. This is now the must handcuff situation in all of fantasy. This is the number one running back handcuff duo in fantasy. Doesn't change how good Kyron is and how good Corum is. They're both very good. Kyron is elite. Kyron's earned the job. Corum ain't taking nothing. But if he goes down, Corum jumps in. So many sheep in here. You know what's funny, Brian, is you're only making your own bed a little messier by calling...
Smitty sheep.
Yeah, by calling... Yeah, Smitty sheep. By calling people, what, mindless? Like, you're only creating a little negative anti-Brian community against you by literally telling everybody right now. You're trying to tell them they don't think for themselves, Brian. Not a good look. Good God, Brian. Okay.
Plenty of different opinions on the show.
It's okay to have different opinions. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
It's another...
I'm just saying there are... It's not a bunch of sheep in here, though. Like, plenty of people can think for themselves.
I mean, what a thing to say. Call your fellow man sheep. Nice job, Brian. Way to spill the whole jug of milk. You spilled your glass of milk. Now you knocked over the pitcher of milk. And now Aunt Edna's got her gown, all her muumuu's all wet and soaked. Okay, anything else, Travis, before I jump? I'm going to be back tonight for sure, though. It's been a nice little hour and 40-minute live stream.
Yeah, I'm going to rewatch what I missed, but if just like 10 seconds maybe on Vidal, do you think he can take the starting job like from Edwards? Or do you think Harbaugh is just going to do Kamani stuff?
Yeah, I think he's not going to let anybody replace Gus, but Gus will get hurt. And then once Gus gets hurt, or yeah, I mean, who knows mid-season? But like, this is going to be he's far. Right. Harbaugh's like, you earn it, you know. Vidal's carrying water for like 4 weeks, and you know, like I don't think this is anything. But you never know with Harbaugh; he's kind of wild.
Yeah,
he's kind of wild.
I know a lot of people are like really high on him.
Yeah,
and I'm kind of. I mean, I'm lukewarm on him. I see the opportunity, but you know, he wasn't a very high pick in a draft of running backs that were extremely talented compared to other years.
Brian, you might want to just close out, come back tomorrow, bro, and start over because you're making it worse for yourself. Why as my opinions hating? Because you just called everyone sheep. You just said everyone in here is mindless, or there's a lot. Let me rephrase. You said there are a lot of mindless people in the chat. That's what you said. You cannot, and don't try and say you didn't say that I'm putting words in your mouth. You just said a bunch of Smitty sheep in here. That is you're calling a bunch of people mindless in here. And you're telling me you're not hating? Leave and come back, Brian. Start over. Tomorrow's a new day, pal. And you know I've got such thick skin. I won't hold it against you tomorrow, but this is it. You just need to close out, reset, get a good night's sleep, drink a nice glass of warm milk tonight to make up for all the milk you spilled all over the damn table today, and start fresh and early tomorrow. Because you don't know what you're saying at this point. You're making yourself look silly. Why am I hating? Attention! You're all a bunch of sheep. What am I saying wrong? Why am I hating? I'm not hating. Sheep. Use your own brain. Jeez, Brian. Aunt Edna's moo-moo is soaked right now. You spilled milk all over it. The dining room table is just... It's wood. It's wood, Brian. It's a wood table. It's Mom's antique table. Can't get wet.
All the kids are crying. Dinner's ruined.
All right. We'll see you later, Travis. We'll call him tonight. We'll be live again.
Yep, we'll see you
later.
Bye.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you what. I'm having second. I told you me and Brian can patch it up and everything go. But I'm having second thoughts about inviting him to Thanksgiving next year. I don't know, Brian. You might have to earn it. Like Corum, you're gonna have to earn it. You're gonna have to earn your keep. All right. I'll see you all later. On that note, I think it's only fitting.
He's Kyron, he's 7 feet tall, and he knows how to handle a ball. He's Kyron, he can take frowns and turn them upside down with his touchdowns.
And appreciate all these super chats. Benji, I think I ranked Benji's player. I said Polkman. Oh, did I? Hey, Benji, you here? Did I rank this one? Can you rank Mitchell, Polk, and Wilson? I'm gonna go 80 Mitchell in this case. Like to some of the points that Travis made. The situation alone feels pretty good. Polk I like, but I don't like Polk or Wilson more than I like Mitchell's upside. But there's definitely risk there. Benji, appreciate you dropping that. Thank you, Marsman Rock Out, for your $20 holler. Thank you, Jack of All Trades, for your $20 holler. And thank you, let's see here. Who was the other one? I had Joe Salters with the $20 holler. Joe, thank you, pal. Appreciate you. TMO with the super chat, talking about Braylon. Great question. Appreciate you. Benji, thanks again, pal. Benji with the other super chat. And then Andre with the $10 holler to kick the show off. I appreciate every single one of you. Benji, you still here? Did you have a follow-up question, Benji? I appreciate you. Thank you for your super chat.
Hi. What would you like? Footballs, please. Lots of footballs, please.
Coming up. He's Marvin, he's 11 feet tall, and he loves to consume the football. He's Kyler, he's 4 feet tall, but Star and Marvin will answer the call. They're Kyler and Marvin.
All right, prepare for take one. All right, action.
He's a box score, Bobby. He's a little sloppy. Box score, Bobby. He's a box score, Bobby. He's very sloppy. Bobby.
Don't forget, this channel, the Fantasy Football Show, is live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, live whenever big news breaks, and usually live most nights live at midnight Eastern, and I assume that's when we're going to be live next tonight. So we'll probably be live tonight, midnight Eastern. Appreciate you all. I will see you all later.